Georgia.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank all of you for being here today. Spending 20 years in the IT industry, actually 30 if you include my time in the intelligence community when I was in the military, there are so many aspects of this issue that are so disturbing that I can't even get my hands around all of it. And some of it outside the scope of this hearing, such as an intelligence analyst taking classified material home. I mean, that was a felony when I was in the intelligence community. And then somebody who is in that arena having pirated software, I mean, anybody who works in this arena at all, you know that if it's pirated software, it's dirty. It's likely dirty in some way. So anyhow, that's outside the scope of this. This happened in previous administration. Hopefully we're cleaning up some of the looseness that we've had in the intelligence community. But as I'm reading an article from Associated Press, which, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce into the record.
Without objection.
This thing reads like a Clancy novel. The Israelis spying on the Russians who are spying on us. And they alert us to the fact that the Russians are gaining information that are being captured through this software. Mr. Norton, in your experience, if a cybersecurity company comes across, whether intentional or unintentionally, comes across classified information, I would think through my experience that it not only legally but professionally you should alert the agency in which it came from, that, or at least some the proper officials, that you have come across this information. Am I wrong in that? Is that something that you would assess, that if somebody just happened to come across this information, they would alert?
I think in the last couple of years that there has been an effort in terms of sharing information amongst DHS and other companies across the cyber realm, if you will, in terms of moving information back and forth. It certainly could be better, but I think the process has started, and I think as you're seeing professionals kind of cross into the private sector and back into the government back and forth, it's getting a little bit better. But absolutely, it's something that we need to continue to get our arms around and do a better job.
I mean, if in your business you come across a piece of classified information that was not within your realm of need to know, you would report to someone?
Of course.
Okay. In this article from the Associated Press, they reported that Israel notified us that Russia was gaining classified information using the software. Eugene Kaspersky spoke in this article. He stated that that they did collect NSA materials clearly marked classified in 2014, which were spirited to Moscow for analysis and then deleted at his direction. When asked if Kaspersky alerted the NSA that his software discovered classified materials, he claimed that he didn't want to see it in the news. If he is asked why he didn't report it, he didn't want to see in the news that I tried to contact the NSA to report the case. Definitely, I didn't want to see that in the news. Is that plausible? That he would not report that they came across by unintentional means, that they came across classified information? Is it plausible that he would have not reported it just because he didn't want to see it in the news? Yes, Mr. Norton, I'm sorry.
I guess the answer is, sir, I don't know what's going inside his head or what his thought process was. It's hard for me to assess why he made that decision or didn't make that decision.
To me, from a legal aspect, maybe laws have changed since I was in the intelligence community, but I would have a legal responsibility at that point to notify the authorities, look, our software came across this information. You may need to go look at this employee. I also have issue with them just reading the documents that come across as well. Mr. Kanuck, do you think this is a plausible response by Mr. Kaspersky?
My first observation would be that Mr. Kaspersky may not be subject to a secrecy agreement of any kind that would have the legal contractual binding nature that yourself previously and myself have had before, that would have obligated us to report that information had we stumbled across it. Secondly, I guess I am personally a little surprised that, knowing the scrutiny that his firm is under, that he might not have taken an opportunity to return it to the U.S. government and try to get in our good favor.
Maybe redeem himself, to show goodwill. Let me ask you, why would he not inform the NSA? I mean,
Possibly because he felt there was no legal obligation for him to, and in his personal decision, thought it was not in the best interest of his company, which again is a Russian company.
okay. Mr. Norton, is it plausible that maybe the suspicions that the Israelis have, that we have, is that they're purposely mining for information? Is that plausible?
I think that, you know, with the digital age having really grown in the last 15 years, that online intelligence gathering is the normal. And I think that we as, you know, society need to continue to come to grips with the fact that mining online data and the fact that you can target individuals is the new normal, and that we all need to be aware of this. And I think that whether it's the Russians or other adversaries, nation states, individuals, absolutely our networks are a target every day, every second, and we need to be really aware of that and do something.
Why would he send it to Moscow? Isn't that not suspect that he sent the documents to Moscow, then asked for them to be deleted? Mr. Norton?
I think, again, I don't know what really occurred or didn't occur. It seems like that would be something that we would need to really kind of take a look at, and hopefully our intelligence service is on that, and they can give us.
Mr. Kanuck, would you find it suspect that he sends them to Moscow? After seeing that they're classified NSA documents, determines to not notify the NSA, but then sends them to Moscow, and then says, I'm going to have them deleted. I mean, that's pretty suspect to me.
So again, I'm not personally knowledgeable of whether he himself was the one who did the discovering and the forwarding. I would, as I said in my opening statement, encourage the analysis of traffic flows within the Kaspersky Global Communications Network. That may have been standard operating procedure, or it may have been an ad hoc decision. I can't speak to that because I don't work for that company.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back the time I have exceeded.